Hello everyone, welcome to Catalyst Magazine Live. My name is Jo Mitchell and I'm the STEM Enrichment Coordinator at STEM Learning. Our guest today is Jason Rose, who will challenge our ideas about how you can have a fulfilling and rewarding career in the life sciences industry. Jason, welcome to Catalyst Magazine Live.
Thank you very much for the introduction, Jo. Very pleased to be here today. As Jo says, my name is Jason Rose. I am the Strategy Implementation Lead for a company called CPI. And that stands for the Centre for Process Innovation, and I'll share a little bit more on what CPI does throughout my presentation. And yes, the topic today is, as you can see there, looking beyond science to achieve success. So the intended learning outcomes for this session are for me to hopefully provide an appreciation for the critical role that support functions play in helping a company to operate successfully. So basically, we're going to look at how you don't have to necessarily be a scientist or an engineer to work in the STEM sector. And secondly, take a look at the understanding of the importance and benefits of developing your essential skills, often known as soft skills. But before we get into that, let me provide you with a little bit more of a background on myself and the company I work for, CPI. So I left school in 2001. I didn't receive an awful lot of career advice. And quite frankly, I wasn't entirely sure what it is that I wanted to do after school. And I certainly wasn't sure on what I wanted to do for a career. So I moved on to college, where I studied leisure and recreation and business studies. I was sort of torn between the two. Part of me thought I wanted to go down a sort of active career, being something like a sports coach or something along those lines. The other side of me was very interested in how businesses function and the idea of potentially going into business management in some shape or form. But once again, I got to the end of college and I still wasn't much further forward on knowing what sort of sector I wanted to go into and ultimately exactly what type of job I wanted to do. So I stuck with my passions at the time. I went to university where I studied leisure and business studies, very much looking at running businesses and organizational management, but very much in the leisure sector. So you think around things like sports clubs, but also things like hotels, the retail high street, etc., etc. Finished university in Leeds in 2006, and then I went off into the big world and started working. I worked for 10 years, had several different roles in things such as business development, recruitment, working in the HR function within a couple of organizations, learned plenty. And along the way, I started asking myself, okay, what is it that I specifically want to focus in? What do I want to become? Because I'd moved around into a few different roles. I hadn't necessarily appreciated the different skill sets that I built up. And speaking to a mentor, they helped me to identify what we believed was my strong skill set. And I looked to sort of buckle down and focus on that. And that was in project management. So off I went back to university whilst I was working. So I did this in my own time on top of a full-time job. And I did a master's degree in project management at the University of Manchester. And upon finishing that opened up the door to the career that I've now gone into, or I started off in with CPI in project management in 2017. And quite frankly, going off and doing that additional masters has opened up all sorts of doors and really propelled my career since. So who is CPI and what do we do? So this is the official formal corporate vision statement. So our vision is to enable a healthier and more sustainable future through deep tech innovations. But what does that actually mean? It means we use science to help make people and the planet better. And how do we do that? We focus on several different markets and different market sectors within the R&D landscape, and we work very much on things such as medicines, pharmaceutical drugs, so all sorts of different treatments. So we work with the likes of Cancer UK. We've worked on the COVID task force. We played a key part in that. And many other things. Many of the conditions or illnesses that friends and family members that you may know have, we'll often be working with companies to develop new and more sustainable and cost-effective alternatives to those medicines. We look at the technological side of it as well. So when you walk into a doctor's or hospital and you see all the different kit around, we'll be working on the different digital and electronical advancements that are helping to make that kit better and more efficient and effective and reliable, and what have you. So those two aspects are very much looking at the bit around making people better and people's health. And then we've got another two aspects looking more at the sort of sustainability aspects of the planet, so looking after the planet's health. And we're looking at things such as technologies that go into the sustainability around energy and energy consumption and keeping the carbon footprint down. So you see an image there on the wind turbines. So we're working with companies to develop new types of materials that will make the rotors on wind turbines more sustainable, so that they're able to be recycled once they come to their end of life. So it's very much circular economy type stuff. The other image there refers to the batteries that go into the electric vehicles. So we're looking at making those more productive and efficient and sustainable. So you might often hear about how the electric vehicles are better for the planet, but some people are put off by the fact that the charges don't last particularly well, and that you can only get short to medium journeys out of them. So we're looking to make those batteries better and hold more charge. So that's just a few examples of the sorts of things we're working on. But what do we, CPI, actually do in that sort of process? So basically, we help build a bridge between inventions and getting them commercialized, so getting them out there in the world. So often scientists will come to us, they've come up with a new idea, they've got a novel technology, it may be a new medicine, or they've come up with a new electronical device, but they don't have the resources, they don't have the network, they don't have the facilities and the kit to be able to scale that up and show that it can be done on a large commercial scale. So what we do is we invite them into our facilities. We've got world-class facilities with millions and millions of pounds of state-of-the-art kit. We've got world-leading scientists and engineers that will help them to take their invention and show that it can be done on a much larger scale. And that helps those inventors to either get extra investment from large venture capitalists, so they can get their company up and growing, much like you see on the likes of Dragon's Den, for those that have seen programs like that. Or the other end is we'll be working with some of the world's largest companies, and they'll use this as their outsourced research and development arm. So yeah, we basically work on those inventions. We help to prove that they can be upscaled into a mass production type process, and ultimately help them get it to the marketplace, whether that be getting sold on the shelves or going into large processes, or, as you can see there, the drugs going into pharmacies and being able to help make people's lives better. So we don't produce our own products or our own processes. Our role is to help other companies get theirs to market. So we're an enabler as such. So with all that, what's the importance of our support functions in the role that we play? So first of all, to understand what I mean by support functions, let me introduce you to core functions. So what do I mean by this? Here's a few examples. If we take the first one here, you've got a car company, in this instance, BMW. Now, if producing cars and selling cars is the main stream of their business, their core function will be the production plan. It'll be the individuals that are in there working with the kit, with the tools to actually manufacture the cars. That's the core function. In the example of a school, the core function would be the teachers. That's the core thing that the school exists for, is to teach the children. So those teachers are the core function. If you think of a sports team, and in the example on the screen there, a football team, the core function is the football players. But in each of those examples, there's a whole host of other functions that will be present in those businesses that make those businesses tick and help those businesses to perform successfully. And that's what I'd like to go into a little bit more detail on and just introduce you to. So for CPI, our core function is the science and the engineering. They sit at the heart of what we do. So we've got labs, we've got kit, we've got engineers sat on digital software, designing things, doing experiments. They're the ones that are doing the core function in our business. But outside of that, across our several facilities that we've got across the northeast, the northwest of England, and up in Scotland, we've got a whole host of other functions. Now, I'm not going to run through each of those, but hopefully that just gives you an understanding of the depth and breadth of functions that sit behind that core function. And without each and every one of these functions, our business wouldn't function. It wouldn't be successful. We wouldn't be able to do what we needed to do to be a successful operation. So let me just bring a few of those to life. So one of the first ones we've got here is legal. Very interesting role. What I should say is each of these requires some of the similar skill sets, but some different skill sets as well. So you'll often find different people going into different types of role based on their personality, their likes and dislikes. Legal, if you think about the need for legal in a business setting, it's about safeguarding the company against risk. It's looking at the engagements that we go into with customers and partners and making sure that the terms are in place for those engagements to safeguard us and safeguard the people that we're working with. So if you think about when you go on and buy something online and you often get asked to read the terms and conditions, many of us will scroll down and just hit tick, yes, I accept. Businesses won't do that. We have legal departments to actually look through and go through all those terms and conditions in detail and work out what needs to be negotiated and changed to make sure that the business is entering into a safe engagement with those companies that we decide to work with. You've got finance, accounting, and purchasing. In a nutshell, they deal with everything that involves the money side of things. So they're looking after our budgets for the business. They're looking after our cash flow. They're making sure that we're financially sustainable. They're making sure that our accounts get done and our taxes are paid. And from the purchasing perspective, they're making sure that we've got a supply chain in place. And what I mean by supply chain is a list of companies that provide us with the kits and the materials that we need to do to use in our experiments, etc., in the labs. We make sure that we've got a set of suppliers that are trusted, that we've got agreements in place to keep that process smooth and quick and reliable. So a lot of work goes into that. In those teams in particular, legal, we've got probably around 10 to 12 people. Finance, accounting and purchasing, maybe another 30 to 50 people. And that's in a 700 person company. So you can start to see how large these teams are that support the rest of the organization. You've then got project management, which is what I used to do. So the project managers are essentially the interface between the internal teams in the business and also the customer. So they're looking after both parties' interests. They'll be working with the customer to make sure the customer gets what they need from the project. So they get the project delivered on time, within the budget and to the quality that they're looking for, whilst working with the teams to make sure that the teams are working effectively, efficiently, and delivering what the customer needs. You've got IT DS. Many of you are probably familiar with IT, information technology. The DS aspect's becoming more prevalent today, and that refers to digital systems. So as technology starts to advance, we're starting to get more systems, tools, programs that allow our company to work in a more digitally effective way. What I mean by that is, instead of working on lots of spreadsheets and having to manually move data across from different systems, there's IT tools now that allows all that to be automated, and it takes out a lot of the manual work for people, freeing people up to do more value-adding tasks, more interesting work. So we're putting a lot of money into developing that. And again, we've got a large team of ITDS, so you're talking around 20 people there. We've got, I think, roughly somewhere between 40 to 50 project managers. We've then got sales, business development. These folks will often be jetting off all over the world, so we work globally. So we've got customers all the way in California. We've got customers over in China, and everywhere in between. So our sales teams will be going out to conferences in different areas of the world, striking up new relationships, and basically spreading the word about what CPI can do and how we can help different companies achieve their goals. So a really interesting role. It involves really outgoing people that can get out there and sell what CPI has to offer. Marketing and comms work closely with sales, but they're quite often the more creative folks. They're the ones that are working on our social media channels and really starting to bring to life in really creative ways what CPI does and what we have to deliver and how we work with companies, coming up with case studies, and really just using those new technologies to help get the word and get our brand out there. Strategy, which is the team that I'm working now, is very much focused on looking at the how our organization is operating, but what do we need to do in the future and where are we going? What are our visions and ambitions, and how do we go about achieving them? So it's very much looking at what we need to do internally to grow our business and move forwards. And then human resources, those guys are the team that look after all of our people. They make sure we've got a healthy culture, and we do have a fantastic culture at CPI. They make sure that people are put first. We've got all the training that we need to develop our careers. They make sure that we've got an inclusive and diverse workforce, and that we're doing bits for our community and all that good stuff. So there's just a few examples of the support functions that sit behind the science and engineering in CPI, and we wouldn't be able to operate without any of those teams. Now, in many instances, the individuals that work in those teams have specialized in those areas, and they've come up and they've studied in those particular topics at university. However, that's not always the case. We do have many people that have moved from science and engineering roles into these departments, often for career progression or just to extend their skill set and knowledge of different areas of the business. So next, I'd like to look at the importance of the essential skills. And what do I mean by this? So the essential skills, as presented here through the Skills Builder Partnership, are the things that are often referred to as soft skills. These are the things that don't relate specifically to a discipline as such. So it's not a case of building up your technical competency, but more so your behavioral competencies. And we're talking about the four categories that you see here. So communication. A lot of times people think about communication, they think about it's how you portray your message. So talking, picking up a phone, writing an email. That's all important stuff that we do need to develop and become competent in. But then there's the listening aspect as well. And the further that you progress in your career, and the most successful leaders often have very strong listening skills, because you need to be able to listen to the people around you to be able to take in the information that you need to make good decisions and make informed decisions on what you're going to do in your role. So the listening aspect is just as important as the speaking. You've got creative problem solving, which obviously involves the aspect of problem solving, but the creativity piece is equally as important, because when you're looking to overcome a hurdle, or certainly in the role I'm working in, strategy, where we're looking to work out and navigate our way into the future, you need to be creative. You need to think outside the box. You need to not only just think about how do we overcome this problem, but what are all the different ways that we can creatively overcome it? And how do we set ourselves apart from the competition, and what makes us unique? Then there's the self-management piece. This is about being self-motivated. It's about aiming high, setting your aspirations, having objectives, and staying positive. So building up your personal resilience and being able to manage yourself and drive yourself forwards. And then the final one, collaboration. Often confused with communication. The two do go quite closely together, hand in hand. But collaboration looks more at how you look to build effective teams and effective working relationships. It's about building your leadership skills and being able to pull different people together to achieve success and achieve your goals. And it takes a particular special skill set and probably a combination of all those other essential skills to be able to do that and bring people together in an effective way. So that's the essential skills. And in my experience, as you progress up the career ladder, those essential skills become more and more important. So it's quite possible and often occurs that you'll have people that go into a technical role, such as science and engineering, and they can carve out for themselves a pretty successful career, staying in that discipline without necessarily having to develop the essential skills. It is, of course, a benefit, but they can get by without building those. However, at the point where they wish to start stepping up into management positions, senior management positions, or even, as I say, stepping over into different functions, like the support functions, those essential skills become absolutely critical. Many of those support functions require teams to collaborate and effectively communicate and make creative decisions around the business, more so than what you'll potentially find in a typical technical role. So the essential skills become absolutely critical. So again, if we just look back to the examples that I shared before, if you've got somebody in the manufacturing plant that's looking to move beyond that, perhaps into like a line supervisor or a shift manager type role, they're going to need to start developing those essential skills that are going to allow them to lead the teams, to be able to collaborate with people effectively, communicate effectively, etc., etc. With the teacher, they may be looking to move above a day-to-day traditional classroom teaching role into almost like a department head, or potentially into a principal or something like that. And with that comes a lot more responsibility and less classroom time. And they'll need to develop those essential skills. And in the sports world, it's quite unique, in fact, because a lot of the sports stars will often have careers that end perhaps in their early 30s or early 40s. And if for those that want to go on to different roles in managing roles in those sports organizations, or potentially coaching or something like that, they'll need to develop the essential skills. So how can you build the essential skills? I'm going to play a little video for you, and hopefully that'll bring some of this to light. And then on the next slide, I'm going to give you some examples of how you can potentially go out there and start to build some of your essential skills now.
Working in a call center trained me to be a global CEO. At 16 years old, I took a job in a call center. I was selling double glazing, conservatories and kitchens, and my job in the call center was to call phone numbers out the blue and try and persuade somebody to buy thousands and thousands and thousands of pounds worth of double glazing that they didn't necessarily need. What it does is it teaches you the the personal skills, the verbal skills, and the persuasive skills that I ended up needing for the rest of my life. And it's funny because even 10 years later, there's things and tricks and tips that I learned in that call center at 16 years old that I'm using in some of the biggest boardrooms in the world when we're discussing multi-million-dollar deals. When you're a CEO, selling is everything. Selling is persuading someone to come and work for your business. It is persuading investors to invest their money into your company. It is persuading clients that the thing you are trying to sell is valuable and worth their interest. Selling is everywhere. And I'll tell you what, when I was in that call center, Steve Bartlett at 16 years old didn't realize how transferable and valuable the skills I was learning would be for the rest of my life.
So the key point I want you to take from that is not that you all need to go out and develop your sales skills. That's not the key message there. But hopefully it's that what you latched onto is that point at the very end. It's the fact that you could be out there doing things now. Many of you probably already are. But there's plenty of opportunities for you to start developing those essential skills now. And that's going to give you a massive platform and dare I say a springboard to help you progress more quickly in your careers once you get into a work setting. So how can you start to develop those skills now? Well, let's look at some of the opportunities that may be in front of you. You can look to lead group work. So at school, college, university, if the opportunity presents itself to work in a group and for somebody to step up and take that leadership role, throw your name in the hat. Take that role on, even if it's stepping outside your comfort zone. That's great. Do that. Give yourself the opportunity to experiment with that, and it doesn't matter if you fail. That's all part of the process of learning, and you'll become more comfortable with it, and that will develop your competency with leadership. So give yourself that opportunity. Put yourself forward when those situations arise. Charity and community work. So a very good way of working in groups with new people, collaborating effectively with teams and having to communicate with different types of people. They're a great way for you to get involved with things now and projects that will allow you to develop some of your essential skills. Similarly, volunteering. Pretty much that's what I'm doing today. So I am a STEM ambassador. That means I get involved in activities such as this today, but it's a win-win. I'd like to think that I'm passing on some knowledge and it's helpful for the people that are listening in today, but it's also a development opportunity for me. It allows me to continue to develop my essential skills. I'm relatively high up in CPI, but I've still got 20 years of my career ahead of me. And there's plenty that I need to develop. So I'm continuously looking for these opportunities for me to develop my essential skills outside of my day-to-day job. Sports clubs, probably one that a lot of you are already involved in, but you've got two different sides to sports, as you'll know. There's the team sports and the individual sports. The team sports are great for building up that teamwork, that communication, again, and decision making and being able to work as part of a successful team. Working in or being part of an individual type sport is great for building up your determination and your resilience and your commitment and self-discipline, etc. So again, sports is a great way to develop those. Work experience. If this one wasn't obvious already, it's a great way. As Stephen Bartlett pointed out there, he was working in a call center. Previously, I had jobs working in Wickes home improvement stores. I worked in the Royal Mail sorting office. I worked as a flyer for nightclubs. All of those different jobs at the time, I thought I was just doing to earn money. When I look back now, I learned skills whilst I was doing all of them that I use today. Similar to what Steve Bartlett said with the flying one, it gave me the confidence to go out and try and sell something to people and build up that confidence of talking to people, etc. So think about the different work experience that you could get involved with that will actually benefit you for the future, even if it's not in the specific type of industry that you're hoping to go into. Recreation groups, much like sports clubs, there's lots of recreation groups out there that you can get involved in that will help to build your confidence with working with people and communicating with different types of people. And then finally, mentoring. Mentoring is often seen as a very formal thing that often only takes place in a work environment. But it doesn't need to be the case. Mentoring can be informal. So my advice to you would be, look around your family, your friends. Do you know somebody, whether it's a family friend or one of your friends' family members, that's successful in their career and somebody you look up to and somebody that you would like to get some advice off of? Ask them if they'd be happy to grab a coffee sometime and get some feedback on what did their career path look like? What did they go through? What are the biggest tips they can pass on to you to help you get ahead in your career? So we'll wrap up there. Hopefully, as I said at the start, that's given you an appreciation for the critical role that support functions play, and also help demonstrate that you don't have to have come from a science or engineering background to have a successful career in a STEM sector, such as myself. And hopefully it's given you an appreciation for the importance and benefits of developing your essential skills and how that'll help set you apart from the competition when you're looking to progress your own careers. And with that, I'll close and we can go into a bit of question and answer.
That was lovely. Thank you, Jason. We have a number of questions in the chat. So what I'm going to ask you to do is read them out as you go down, so that our viewers who aren't here can actually hear the questions as well. Over to you.
Fantastic. Thank you, Joe. Okay, great. First question I've got here is from MZC45, which I'm guessing is one of the classrooms somewhere. And the question is, what is your favourite part of your job and what do you not like? So that's a great question to get us kicked off. I'm going to be completely honest with you, and I'm not just saying this to inspire you or try and pull the wool over your eyes, but I love my job. I can't always, I haven't always been able to say that. There's been parts of my career to date where certainly in those first 10 years before going back to university, I wasn't entirely sure what I wanted to do. I wasn't overly enjoying some of the roles I was in, but through really working out what it is that I enjoy and then focusing and doubling down on that and pursuing a career in that, it's even meant that, 12, 14 years down the line, I've been able to end up in a role that I've now very much enjoy. In particular, I enjoy the part of the job that I enjoy is I'm working with different people, amazing people, crazily intelligent people, day in, day out, and I'm having my eyes opened every day. So I'm learning new stuff every day about new exciting technologies, different things that are going to help the world and help people, and it's just a really exciting place to work. And in terms of what I don't like about my job, the role that I've been in for the past year in strategy, I think I can honestly say that there isn't an aspect that I don't like. I'm really enjoying the role. Previously, though, when I was working as a project manager, and one of the reasons I looked to step away from that was there was a heavy focus on the financial side of things. So as a project manager, you've got to be keen on managing budgets and really keep on top of the numbers. And that was an aspect that I didn't overly enjoy. So I looked to step away from that. But I guess my key message here would be, it's a great question because you should ask yourself that. And as you progress through your career, you should continue to ask yourself that, because you'll get opportunities where you can almost design and orchestrate the opportunities that present themselves, and you can slowly move yourself into roles that end up having more and more of the stuff you do like and less of the stuff that you don't like. Okay, next question from Roz. CPI does a lot of medtech and pharma industry. What is an exciting project that they are currently involved in? Oh, wow. We're involved in so many exciting projects. I mean, by way of example, we've probably got well over 100 projects ongoing at the moment in our different areas of the business. So just to pull out some of the more exciting ones, I guess, just to the left of me here, we've just finished constructing a £12 million new building, which is the Centre of Excellence for RNA. and that is basically going to be the UK's centre of excellence for designing new vaccines, basically. So we were part of the vaccine task force during the COVID epidemic, and we've now been set up as the R&D lead for designing new drugs for the future, so that if another epidemic comes about, touch wood, that doesn't happen, but we'll be much better placed to be able to react to that in a much quicker manner. We've got things going over in other parts of the business where we're working on things such as future proteins. So think about, you may have heard about being able to grow meat in the lab. We're pioneering some of the work on that. So it's about working in the lab and how do we take cells where we can develop and build up meat that means that we can offer a sustainable alternative to slaughtering animals, essentially. And then we're working on things in the health tech world where we're developing new electronic devices that will help save lives. So there's a whole range of things that go across different markets, and I could speak all day about the exciting stuff that we're involved with. But what I would say is if it's CPI sounds like a company that's of interest to you, go onto our website and take a look, and there'll be all sorts of case studies on there. Another question from Roz, does CPI offer apprenticeships, in particular in the med industry? Yeah, absolutely. We've actually won awards for our apprenticeship programs. So CPI is seen as, again, a leading organisation in how we go about our career entry roles. So we've got really robust work placement and graduate and apprenticeship schemes in place, and particularly with the apprenticeships piece, we've got opportunities within all of our sites. As you saw, we've got bases in the northeast of England, in the northwest of England, and up in Glasgow. In the med industry, in particular, we've got the new Medicines Manufacturing Innovation Centre up in Glasgow, which I believe was around £60 million. And we're working with some of the world's leading pharma organisations up there. And then down in the northeast, we have our biologics centre, which is where I'm sat today in Darlington, and they work closely with MMIC up in Glasgow in that med sector. Both have apprenticeships opportunities, and those apprenticeship opportunities are both in the scientific and engineering roles, but all of those support functions that I mentioned as well, many of them actually offer apprenticeship routes as well. And it's a great way. I really encourage people to consider the apprenticeship route. Not only does it allow you to get into the working environment and start honing those technical and essential skills from a younger age, but you're being paid to work, you're getting a wage, and quite often the company, certainly in CPI's instance, pay for the qualification that you're doing. So yeah, it's a great route, and you're giving time, and often through day release, to actually go and do that study alongside your work. So definitely a route worth considering. And again, if CPI sounds like a company you're interested, get onto our webpage and you're able to sign up and be kept up to date with the apprenticeship opportunities as they come out. A question here from Gehan. As you are training, what sort of hours would you be expected to do, especially if you're trying to gain on-the-job qualifications or degree? Okay, so I did just loosely touch on that, but just to add a bit more context there then. Typically, an apprentice would come into CPI. They would be contracted to the same hours as anybody else, like myself. So we do 37 hours a week, standardly between 8:30 and 5 o'clock, Monday to Thursday, and 8:30 to 4:30 on a Friday. But the difference is with the apprentices, they'll get the full week's pay, but they'll be given a day release. So for that day, they'll go to their local university or college that they're signed up to, and they'll have that day where they're focused purely on their education. They're getting paid all the while, their course is being paid for them, and then they're expected to work the other 4 days of the week. In terms of expectations around how many hours you should do, it's just your contracted hours. Because of the culture that we have at CPI, we really do put our people first and our people's mental health first. So that's a really important part of the culture. But if I'm honest, a lot of the people that come in are doing jobs that they really enjoy. So we often find that, especially a lot of our younger people who don't yet have families and responsibilities back at home as such, enjoy spending more hours in the lab and working on the experiments they're working on. So that aspect's really within your control. Next question, Roz, is there a difference in salary between a traditional university route and doing a highly skilled apprenticeship? I guess that's a tricky one to answer, because quite often the apprentices will come in at a younger age to the graduates. So typically I say, and I will come on to the exceptions. Typically, a apprentice will come in at either college or university level. So they will be coming in at a younger age. They'll probably start off at a lower salary at that age of 16, 17, 18 than what somebody coming out of university at 21 would come in at. However, by the time they get to 21, because they're going to have had several years experience behind them, they will no doubt at that point have jumped ahead and be earning more than what the graduates coming in will be. So when they first enter, they'll be on a lower wage than what the people coming in at that graduate level will probably be on. But in terms of comparing the age, by the time you're 21, there's a very good chance, not in all cases, but there's a good chance that those that come up the apprenticeship route will have advanced and developed because they've got several years on-job experience. So as I say, the apprenticeship route's very much worth looking into. The other thing worth noting is that we have apprenticeship routes beyond college and university as well. So we have people that are coming in their late 20s or 30s that are apprentices as well. So the apprentice option can be open to people throughout their career path. So obviously in that case, the salaries will differ depending on their experience and where they're at in their career. Great, there's loads of questions. Another one from Gehan here. What opportunities are there for work experience for under 18s to get an idea of what their career entails? So we offer a lot of different work experience opportunities. We've got the more ad hoc opportunities where it might be someone like myself who has a family friend and they've asked to get a week's work experience or something like that. And we'll just work with people around the company to get that individual in for the week to get them exposed to the different parts of the business. But then we have our more formal structured route. And just here in biologics last week, we had 4 individuals who all went through the week together from local schools and universities. They had a week in to understand different areas of the business, and that was done in a much more formal and structured way. I think that was a pilot scheme, and we're looking to roll that out and extend that to sort of summer placements and things like that. So yeah, lots of different opportunities. And again, what I'd say is if you're interested in CPI or companies like us, the best place is to get onto the website, go to the careers page, and often you can sign up and you'll get newsletters on different opportunities as and when they come out. Roz, which skills do CPI prioritise the most in their employees and apprentices? Another great question, Roz. And unfortunately, I'm going to say it's another one that depends. It depends on 2 things, I guess. Firstly, it depends on the role, because for some roles, it may be such as a scientific technical role, it may be that those technical skills are prioritised over the essential skills. Whereas there might be other roles where the essential soft skills are prioritized over the technical skills, but it's generally between those two categories of skills. The second thing is it depends on the line manager, because every individual will have their own preference, and we don't dictate at CPI that every manager must have the same sort of preference. We leave our people to use their own judgment and intuition for the roles and that they're looking to recruit for. Reflecting back on my own experience, having been a line manager here and managed teams and recruited people at all different sorts of levels, I've personally always put the essential skills first. In my humble opinion, it's easier to teach the technical skills than it is the essential skills. I found that when recruiting, certainly the more junior people starting off in their careers, if you find somebody that's already got solid essential skills and you can tell they've been out there doing all those things that I've suggested and encouraged, they've been out and they've been developing those leadership skills, those communication skills, their decision-making skills, that comes across in an interview. And I see those people and I think, brilliant, they've got bags of potential. Essential skills can often take years and years to hone and sharpen. So if they've already got a strong foundation with those essential skills, that's brilliant. To me, that's like, I can work with that person, I can mold them, I can teach them the technical skills in a short space of time, and they'll be the rising stars. So for me, it's the essential skills that stand out. Hopefully that helps. Another question from the group M45. What can you suggest younger students, such as GCSE Year 11, do to help them progress towards a chosen career? So the two key pieces of advice from me, the first one would be, and I'm going to sound like a broken record here, but it's develop your essential skills. When you go into an interview, when you're first looking to get your first break into a career, what's going to make you stand out against all the other applicants and the other people that are being interviewed? And from somebody that's been a line manager, a hiring manager, it's those essential skills, as I've just said. The person that's going to stand out for me is the person that can demonstrate examples of where they've shown leadership, where they've shown that they've used strong communication skills and decision-making skills, etc. I don't want to see somebody stand there and say, I'm great at communicating and I'm a good leader. They need to back that up. They need to say, I've got proven leadership skills through being the captain of a sports team for the last 3 years. And I helped lead us to victory and we won these cups, etc. Or I've been involved in this community work where I've had to collaborate with these people. You need real life experiences. So that's my first piece of advice that I've obviously been saying throughout the entire piece today, is build those essential skills that'll help you and give you a foot up in your career. The second piece is do your research. Get out there, look on the internet, speak to people, speak to family members, speak to friends, and find out about the different career opportunities that are out there. And look at do your research. If CPI sounds like a cool place to work, don't just go to CPI's career page. Look at other companies out there that are similar and working in the similar fields, and explore the opportunities with them as well. The final thing I'd say in terms of advice there is don't get too stressed about what the future holds. I used to get really hung up on, as I suggested at the start of my presentation, what am I going to be? What does my career path look like? And there's so many opportunities out there, so many different career paths to follow these days. There's just no way you'll know what you're going to be doing in 10 years, 20 years time. So try not to agonize and stress and worry too much about exactly what you're going to be. Think about what you enjoy. What's the stuff that you enjoy doing? What's the topics you enjoy? What's a sector that you think you'd enjoy going into? But don't worry too much about what the specific role will be. Focus on developing your skills, and those things will become clearer as you progress through your career. Another question from Gehan. Would there be anything students can or should do to enhance their personal statement to help them get an interview? For me, again, sorry, at the risk of sounding like a broken record again, but it's the examples bit that I just talked about. In terms of your personal statement, you need to be able to back it up and rely on actual hands-on experience. It's no good just saying at the top of your statement that I am a good decision maker and a good leader, because people in an interview are going to ask for the backup to that. So demonstrate that to me. They're going to put you on the spot and say, what makes you think you're a good decision maker? And you need to come up with real life examples. You need to be able to say, oh, it's because there was this instance this one time where I was working as part of a group for this, and we were stuck and we had to do a bit of problem solving, and I helped lead us to the successful conclusion. So the best thing for that personal statement is to be able to demonstrate those essential skills, but demonstrate the experience that you've got and prove that there's some actual substance to what you're saying. And final question here, I think, again from the guys over the M45 group. If you could give your younger self any tips or advice, what would it be? Okay, so I think I've just touched on this. I think the biggest piece of advice I would have given myself is don't sweat it. Don't agonize and stress over exactly what you're going to be. I think often coming up through the primary school and then secondary school, we often ask those questions of what do you want to be when you're older? And people think we need to, hang our hat on or put our marker down on a particular thing. I want to be an astronaut. I want to be a doctor. I want to be a lawyer or something like that. There's just too many opportunities out there these days to, in my opinion, to really hang your hat on one thing. It's good to know that there's stuff that interests you, but as you start to pursue those types of careers, all different sorts of opportunities will open up. So don't worry just now. Don't stress too much just now if you're one of those people that doesn't know exactly what it is that they want to be. If you're somebody that's very clear, you want to be a doctor, you want to be a graphic designer or an IT developer, whatever it may be, that's great. But for those that are unsure, my advice is don't threat it. Don't worry. Don't get yourself all worked up. It will become clearer as you go through and do your education. Just concentrate on the next step and make sure you keep asking those questions of what do I enjoy? What don't I enjoy? And follow those things, because if you're doing something that you enjoy, if you're in an area that you enjoy, you're going to be passionate about it. If you're passionate about it, you will just develop the skills, you'll progress, and you'll do well. And that's what I've learned in my experience. So I hope all of that's been useful. Thank you very much for listening in today, and best of luck with your careers and your further education. Thank you.
And thank you, Jason, for showing us that a successful and rewarding career is available to all of us, and that we should take the route and path that works for us. There are a lot of opportunities for everyone's skills within this industry. CPI sounds like an amazing company to work for. And thank you to our audience joining us today. Enjoy the rest of your day, and remember to take part in our next Catalyst Magazine live session. Goodbye, everyone.